I don't understand you. I don't get it. For instance, like the Katie situation, for example, because I can use specific examples. I don't know if you can, but I can. And because I remember things I know you don't, but like
how you're always demeaning, you're always talking down on me. We're not equals here.
I'm going to say it again. I really don't understand how Marissa's still with this man. Because there's always something going on. Every episode, there's been something wrong. Every time she has had to take responsibility for something that he's aggrieved about. And now we don't even know what the fight was about. All we know is they're both sitting there. Their eyes are red. It looks like they've been crying. We don't know what they were crying or what they were saying. But anyway. And then Hannah. I've never seen such disrespect. I never thought I'd defend Nikki D. But I feel like Hannah's ego was bruised when she saw Katie talking to Nikki D and she realized that he had options. And this is why she's decided to sort of degrade him, because she's at the opposite end of the spectrum from what Katie was saying to him, which I think says more about her than it says about Nikki D. But anyway, hey there. Thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, subscribe, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love is Blind, Season 7, Episode 11. I'm confused. I really am confused. So Nick had a conversation with Katie because he told his wife that, his fiance, that he wanted to speak to Katie because Katie and him were each other's top for 3 days and he doesn't understand what went wrong. They had a conversation. Katie, she did say he was a very good looking guy. She went on. Part of it was flirting on her side, and Nick told her that he was with Hannah and he was happy with Hannah and that's where he was, and he didn't have any regret for who he ended up with. And so for them to get back to their apartment and have Hannah grilling him as to what were you discussing? What did you say to her? She's my best friend in the world. And it's like, girl, you've got friends that you knew before you went into the experiment. Make it make sense. Anyway, she's my best friend in the world. What were you discussing? And he's trying to explain to her that I just wanted to understand what happened because we were each other's tops for 3 days. Well, you've explained that to me in 3 minutes. Why were you speaking to her for 45 minutes? And after all, she came to me several times and said you were good looking. Well, maybe she has buyer's remorse. Maybe she regrets giving up on Nick, but that shouldn't be, Nick's fault. I never knew I would be defending Nick. That shouldn't be Nick's fault. He's not responsible for how other people feel about him. You can't grill him. And then when you realize that he's mad, you start trying to say, let's go to bed. And I didn't like the sarcastic way she said, I changed you from a boy to a man. I've raised you, I've done this. And it's like, Hannah, please. You can't be the only one who's teaching him something. He must be teaching you something about yourself, be it patience, be it to be caring, be it to be, more understanding. Something. He must have taught you something. Stop making it seem like you're an institute of higher education and he's your student. That's not it. And for her to complain that, I was speaking to Ashley and I was saying, you haven't seen my fun side. I want to show you my fun side. Well, if you wanted to show him your fun side, maybe you should have come, had fun, and then tomorrow you'd have discussed whatever issue you were having in regards to this conversation after the two of you had cooled down. But no, you're complaining it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Why was he chatting to somebody else? Make it make sense. Are you upset or are you not? And he asked her, before we go to bed, did I do anything wrong? She couldn't say anything and she was trying to flirt with him. I think she wanted them to go to bed and make up. I don't know whether she wanted to sort of get angry first before they made out. I don't know. I give it to Nick for maintaining his composure and for actually advocating for himself and articulating his response clearly. So that shows growth on his part. You have Geek Squad meet Taylor's family, and they stood their ground, I see, because even the filming, they didn't get to be filmed. She did show sort of her family, but I think they refused for the meeting to be filmed. Hey, if that's what they want, who are we to judge? And I give them credit for standing on that to say, no, we will not meet Gareth on camera. We'll meet him off camera. They did sort of show their faces after the meeting and everybody seemed very happy. I think they were concerned about the guy and they really wanted to meet him. And Gareth seems to be a very stable guy. He reminds me of Brennan. He reminds me of Zach. Who else is a very stable guy from previous seasons that I would say? Brett. Even Kwame has become so solid. It's shocking because I actually follow him on Instagram. I don't know Cameron, so Bernard, I don't know them. I didn't watch their season. So he really is someone you'd be proud to have marry your daughter. And he seems very solid, irregardless of his poor choices in responding to, his ex's message. You still have Taylor in her feelings about that. She doesn't know whether that, will affect her decision to say yes or no, because she was already 100%, but this has sort of taken her a couple of steps back. And to me, it's like, okay, you are upset that this is what is done. It's understandable. But still, at the end of the day, you cannot judge him by your past. You can only judge him by your relationship with him. You can't judge him because somebody else cheated on you. That's not his fault. He wasn't there. So you can't sort of bash him on the head to say, my ex cheated on me. He did this, so you're going to do the same. No, he doesn't come across as that guy. He seems very sorry. He seems very apologetic. I would assume after the cameras left, he showed her his phone. And so she was able to get over whatever she wanted to get over, and I hope they say yes, because it seems at this point they are the only sort of couple that I would see saying yes. Everybody else should say no. Everybody else should say no, because they are all toxic, including Marissa and Ramsey. You know how I feel about them. I'm so confused because, well, I used to call them Christian Mingle, but I don't know anymore. I think Tyler, no, not Christian Mingle, but I think Ashley is still Christian Mingle. Anyway, so they are at this go-kart racing place, and it looks really cute. It looks really cute. They sit down for a conversation, and so they're having this conversation whereby they're sort of trying to move away from the narrative of the fact that, Tyler has these kids, whether he's a sperm donor or whether he's had them with somebody. We'll leave that to him to explain at the reunion. So they sit down for this conversation, and you have Ashley saying, this is your only pass. I don't want anything else coming out. If this is your only chance, I need you in my life. I feel I have to have you in my life. And it's like, you don't have to have him in your life. Say, you don't have to have anyone in your life. You can be on your own as long as you're happy and you have enough self-love and self-worth. Because at the end of the day, this man is sitting there on international TV. This is not just watched in America. This is watched wherever there's internet, someone is going to watch Netflix. So on international TV and lying straight to your face, make it make sense. This is not a good look for him. I feel like he should have owned up to her. Well, I have a checkered past in the sense that I had an affair with someone and we conceived 2 children. Prior to the conception of the 2 children, I had been a sperm donor for them. I am in the children's life because this is a close friend of mine. This is all according to rumors. This is not me saying it's 100% true or it's not true. This is what the internet or the streets are saying about him. And I think had he been honest with her, that would have helped, his cause. People would be fighting for their marriage and saying, no, they really need to get married because he's been honest, he's been genuine, blah, blah. But the fact that he says, he's a sperm donor, he's not sure whether the children know about him, he's not, and yet there's pictures and stuff on the interwebs, internet, I don't know. I really don't know. And I don't know whether this is a good idea for Ashley to say yes. If he doesn't genuinely come out with the truth, she's going to be devastated when she finds out the actual truth about this man and how complex it is, because apparently his baby mama has come out and she said a lot about him. And she said some stuff which is on TikTok. And then apparently she said she's going to reserve the rest of her comments until he has the opportunity to sort of explain himself. And if he doesn't explain himself to her satisfaction, then she's going to come out and expose him. And it's like, okay. Interesting that after being shown 7 couples that said yes, we only have just above half left. We've only got 4 couples left. So we've got Ashley and Tyler, which to me is a no. We have Marissa and Ramses, which is a no. We have Hannah and Nick D, which is a no. So the only couple that I have hope for is Geek Squad, Gareth and Taylor. Anyway, so you have Marissa and Ramses having this conversation whereby they're filling in their, marriage certificate online, and I'm tempted to run and switch off that computer because they are the most toxic couple ever, or they're one of the most toxic couples in this experiment. Their communication is terrible. I think if their sex was bad, they would have parted ways. I think that's the only thing that's sort of holding them together. That's, in my opinion, I feel like that's the only reason why they're still a couple. They're still planning on getting married. I don't think because they have a lot of differences. They have a lot of differences in contraception. They have a lot of differences in their beliefs in regards her military service. We haven't heard that ironed out, or resolved. We haven't heard, the contraception thing be resolved. And so the idea that they would be sitting there and filling in this marriage certificate doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. I hope they say no. I really hope they both say no. Unless the edit is not doing this man a great service, for me, he's not the guy for her. I will continue to say this. I still feel Bowden was a better match for her. She said, yes, they get along. They would be great friends. But I think from that friendship would have developed a very sort of authentic relationship that would have grown and lasted for years to come. But that's just my opinion. And then we have Nick D and Hannah meet up with her friends. And it's like, oh my God, this boy has met everybody from her family. So he's met her mom and dad and brother. He's met her other brother. And now he's meeting her friends. Why so many meetings? I feel like this meeting was meant for them to sort of grill him, especially after his conversation with Katie. Given the fact that she said Katie is her best friend in the world, why are these other two girls there? Why didn't she sit down, Nick D and Katie, and find out exactly what was discussed? For them to be hypercritical and telling him that, no, you don't need to change a lot of things. You just need to do one or two things. Hannah's already complaining about him flirting. He's trying to change himself to stop himself from being flirting. She has ways that she does certain things. She wants to save her money. She wants to clean her apartment. She wants to look after her dog. She wants to do ABC. He is trying the best he can. This man has been pampered. This man has lived with his mommy and daddy for a very long time. So she needs to have grace for that. She can't expect him to change overnight. She can't expect him to change in 4 weeks. If he's making the effort, if he's trying his best, if he's asking for sort of feedback so that he can be a better version of himself the way he did with Katie, what more do you want from him? And for her friends to sort of advocate for her and be yapping up, it's not a good look, ladies. It's not a good look. I feel like people need to change. Yes, they're asking him and they're telling him the things that he needs to do in order to function in this relationship. Nobody has asked Nick, what do you need Hannah to do? Or nobody has told Hannah what she needs to do in order for this marriage to work. Her parents told her that she needed to soften up a bit and to loosen up a bit, but her friends haven't said this. So I don't get the purpose of him sitting down with the friends. And I think he's just being railroaded into this marriage. I think he's someone who's used to people just telling him what to do, and this is what he's going to do and continue to do. I wish he could be man enough to stand up for himself. I really wish he could stand up for himself and tell her that this ain't it. Really cute. So I think what happened with Taylor's family, I think they wanted to meet the guy first before they went on camera to see what their impression of him was. And once they met Gareth, they must have really liked him, because you have him have a dinner with her mum and her cousin, and they really seem to be in a great place. Her mom is teary because she's talking about the fact that, she had to tell her husband to sort of, allow them to go through this process, because this could be Hannah, Taylor's person. Sorry, I don't know where the Hannah came from. And then you have Hannah with her mum sort of having a conversation, because the mum is saying, I was busy writing my speech for what I would say when I saw you in your gown. And Hannah is sort of saying, I have questions because, after he met my friends were not on board with him. They have a lot of concerns. And so, I feel we're not on the same level, sort of financially, emotionally, whatever. And it's like her mum is saying to her, if you love someone, all that doesn't matter. What matters is your love for that person and how, you feel with that person. And so it seems like she's calling off the wedding. Which, am I surprised? No. I didn't think they were a perfect pair. I think she was too hypercritical of him. And so I think this has been a learning curve for Nick, in the sense that he will be a better version of himself moving away from this relationship in what he wants and what he needs in a relationship. He will be a better man, actually. So Hannah was good for him. I don't know whether he was good for Hannah, but Hannah was good for him, because as she says, she turned him from a boy into a man. So the next woman he meets will be a lucky woman, because she gets to get the best version of him. Anyway, you have all the brides-to-be go dress shopping, and they're busy talking about Hannah, with, Marissa sort of saying that she doesn't feel like Hannah will be coming. I think her friends helped her sort of reach a conclusion in regards to her relationship with Nick D and what she wants to do. And at that moment, Vanessa Lachey walks in, and, she sort of wants to know who has brought who. And I like the fact that Taylor's mom actually said, I don't, well, not that I don't, but Gareth is not Taylor's type. The type of people she's dated before don't look like Gareth. So I'm surprised that she's ended up with Gareth, but we really like him. We think he's an amazing guy, which you can't knock Gareth. Outside of the texting scandal, there's nothing really that has sort of been a red flag. I don't think we've even heard people sort of come up and say anything. I haven't seen anything online about him negatively. You have Marissa has brought her mom and her friend from high school, and so the friend is really speaking positively about Ramses. I don't know whether it's the edit. I really don't think it's it for her. The mom says doesn't seem to be on board, but she's going to support her daughter regardless of what she feels or how she feels about this man. She lets it slip that she's already warned him that she will castrate him if he hurts her daughter, and everybody's taken aback. You have Ashley, who's brought her mom and her god sister, and she reveals that, her mom says that, she really likes Tyler and, she feels like she's known him. And I'm like, oh God, if the rumors online are true, then he's really managed to charm the whole family. Then he's really managed to sort of sell the best version of himself, which is a pity because what the internet is saying is not really good, and it's really sad that they have to go through this. No one deserves to go through that, but hey, it is what it is. And so we'll see what happens with that sort of reunion or that marriage, whether or not they'll say yes. I have a feeling if they said yes, there's going to be trouble in paradise once everything comes out. And I don't know whether Ashley will continue to stay in this marriage or whether she'll decide to move on. It's cute to see Vanessa and Nick. I don't get why they get a bad rep, because at the end of the day, they only go by what the producers allow them to do. It's like the casting, they're not responsible for casting. It's what production want, what they feel will sell, and allow Netflix to continue to order more seasons, because after this controversial one, we thought last season was bad. This is actually worse. Anyway, so, they sort of ask, who did you bring, and that sort of question, obviously, the toast, and then they start trying on gowns. First to try on is Ashley and Tyler. Tyler's crying. He said, she's the most beautiful girl in the world. He never thought, he would find this. His friends are happy for him. And for me, it's like, I'm side-eyeing him. Because at the end of the day, he knows the lies he's told this girl. For him to come on TV and put on a performance, he needs to go to Hollywood and act, because the performance he's putting on, for me, sadly, maybe my patience isn't there with him today. And for Ashley, her mom is emotional, but her mom doesn't say much, which makes me question whether the mom has found out about the 3 children and is not on board with this, because all she asked her was, do you see yourself standing next to Tyler in this? And she said, yes, I do. I never thought this would happen, and now it's happening. And it's like, I really want the best for you, Ashley, but I don't think this is the man for you, because there's a lot of baggage and there's a lot of dishonesty before you've even got married. So you can only imagine what will happen in the marriage. And so I don't think he's the right partner for you. I wish you had waited, or I wish you had gone for somebody else, but you bought the representative that he brought to the pods, and that's the guy you fell in love with. And I don't know whether the guy he sold you is the same guy as the guy that's you're going to see once you say yes on wedding day. Next up is Ramses and Marissa. I've been against this union since before they got married. Maybe they're going to put me to shame as someone who roots for love. It's not that I didn't want Marissa to find love. Don't get me wrong. It's just that I think she deserves better. I think this man is not it for her, given the way he behaves at times, especially when there's conflict. How his conflict resolution skills and his communication, in my opinion, is bad. It's either his way or the highway. There's no room for compromise. So he's asked, how do you feel when he's being measured for his suit, and he said, this is my second time in a tux, because the tailor asks him, when did you last wear a tux? And he said, this is my second time. His friends ask him, are you ready? He says, yes, I think last time I wasn't yet ready to get married. This time I am. And it's like, I don't think you are. I don't think personally you're ready for someone, in the sense that in a marriage is sort of a partnership. You have to be willing to give and take. You have to be willing to compromise. And for him, the way he spoke about the sex issue and contraception, the way he spoke about her military service, for me, it's not it. It really is not it. And I don't think he's her guy, regardless of how much Marissa wants him to be her guy. they might prove me wrong. They might prove me wrong. You have Marissa trying a dress. The first one, she didn't like it. She said it was too feminine. Then she tried the second one. And her mom is saying that Ramses is the guy for her because she asked him to do something and he stopped everything he was doing to make sure that he did it for her. And so I feel he's a person. And it's like, yeah, maybe there's a side of him that we, the viewers, are not seeing. Because the side that we're seeing is very questionable. It's very questionable. And so for me, I think Marissa needs someone who's very empathetic, compassionate, loving, caring, hopeless romantic. I know he cooks for her, but still, I will continue to say this. Bowden would have been a better partner for her. Because I think he had the capacity to give her the type of love that she needs and the type of love that she deserves. And I don't think this man is in any way able to sort of compromise or to sort of put himself second when somebody else needs to be put first. He hasn't done or said anything. I don't know him on a personal level, but in my opinion, he hasn't done anything that shows me that he's selfless outside of cooking for his wife. That's it. Whereas you have someone like Bowden who actually went to war for another country, his country of birth, because he felt he had the skills needed. You have someone who's very compassionate and was very easy going with Melissa in the pods. So I still don't understand how she ended up with this guy. I really don't. And I don't think as viewers we'll ever get to know what she saw in him, what she fell in love with. We'll just hope for the best. Last but not least is Geek Squad. I think if I had to put money to bet who's getting married, it's Gareth and Taylor. The rest, it could go either way. The rest, I wish they wouldn't say yes. I wish they would continue dating and then see after the experiment how they feel in a couple of months. If they're still happy to go ahead with it, then they can go ahead with it. But at the moment, I don't think Ashley or Marissa should say yes. That's just my opinion. So you have Gareth speaking to his friends. And Gareth is very sort of logical about his thought process and is very academic at it at times, because his friends are saying, do you think this is the right idea? Do you think, you know her enough to want to say yes? And he says, he really loves this girl and he doesn't want to lose her. He knows that, his family is upset about him moving to San Diego. That's their biggest concern. It's not that he's marrying her, it's the fact that he's going to move afterwards. And that's a big sort of cause of concern to his family. Her family wasn't on board with being filmed, but they know that this is what she wants and he can't see himself without her. And it's like, oh my God, Gareth, where did you come from? This is why I say they're going to be a definite yes. With Taylor, she, has her mom and her cousin. She tries the first dress. Her mom is not impressed, but then with the second one, she really loves it. She says she's 100% on board and she believes that Gareth is going to love it. And I think Gareth has made quite an impression on her family. For them to go from, we don't want to be on camera, to her mother suddenly coming to be present with her daughter says a lot about Gareth, in my opinion, that he's really impressed them. He's really shown them that he's a solid guy and is someone who's going to be there and ride or die with their daughter. So I think this is why they're on board. Taylor, on her part, is excited. She can't wait for Gareth to see her. And so what I like about them as a union is the fact that they're always thinking about their partner. How is my partner? How is he feeling? What are his concerns? What can I do to help him overcome those concerns or to help lighten his mood? Which is totally different to people like Marissa. And Marissa does that, but I don't think her fiance does that. And so that's why I always side-eye him. I have never sat through anything more awkward than this, because you have Nick meet up with Hannah, and Hannah has made these notes. She's decided not to go through with the experiment. She's decided to pull, the lever and jump out of the moving airplane, because she calls him for a chat and she interrogates him. That was an interrogation. I'm sorry. That was an interrogation. That wasn't a conversation between two people, because she kept asking all the questions and they were it wasn't two people in love asking each other questions. It was sort of like she's a boss who's doing an appraisal for someone. That's how it came across, and was sort of nitpicky and sort of talking about all the faults. I give him credit for saying that, I am not a person who would write down notes and come and critique you, in front of everyone just so I get my point across. I'm never going to be that person who's going to bring you down. Thank you, Nick. Finally, you have a backbone. He told her, the way you speak to me, she's very patronizing. She's very belittling. She's very sort of she humiliated this man on international TV, the way she spoke to him, and made herself feel better than. I feel like she wanted Leo. When she couldn't get Leo, she decided to go for Nick because she wanted someone she could beat down. I don't even think she liked Leo. I think she went through the process looking for someone she would be able to control, and she found him in Nick D, and that's why she's managed to go as far as she's gone in the process. Do I think she was ready for marriage? No, because she says he's not ready for marriage, and it's like, Madame, look in the mirror. You are not ready for marriage. You are ready for marriage to someone who is of your making, and sadly, there's no lab for you to go and sort of build a bear or build a man. So you are not ready for marriage, and people watching this is going to take a certain type of man to marry you, and that man is not going to be accommodating. He said he's always going to love her. I think she's going to regret the way she treated him. Hopefully she takes ownership of her mistakes and she sort of self-reflects on how she spoke to this man and how she treated this man in this marriage, because she was sort of asking him, what are your responsibilities, what do you do at home, and it's like, this is none of your business. You're breaking up with this man, you don't need to know all this. Thank you. Am I the only one who gets nervous every time Marissa and Ramses come on my screen? Because they go on this hot tub cruise, whatever it is. I didn't know they had one of those. Anyway, so they're having this conversation about gifting their mothers, with Marissa saying, I have a gift for your mom. Do you have a gift for my mom? I don't want to be, pushing you and whatever. And it's like, your conflict resolution and communication skills are poor. At best, they are very poor, because you could tell they were trying not to get agitated or to blow up, but you could see it was almost getting there, and Marissa was constantly having to sort of to check herself on what she was saying to make sure she doesn't agitate him. And it's like, what sort of marriage or what sort of relationship is this where you're constantly walking on eggshells because you don't want to upset your partner? Make it make sense. I don't get it, because why should she always have to sort of reword or sort of rethink everything she says? Yeah, I understand not wanting to hurt your feelings, but the sake that she's doing it so that it doesn't erupt and cause another commotion between the two of them, that I don't get, and I don't get why it has to be such a big deal. He has been down this road before. He knows what is needed. Why can't he sort of come up with plans or ideas of what they want to do for their wedding, whether it's giving the mother gifts or your mind is moving 100 miles an hour? Yeah, but the two of you should sit down and come up with a list of what you're going to do. It doesn't need to be World War III just because, you are trying to resolve an issue. You should know that you need to get something for your mother-in-law. Your mother-in-law is not on board with you marrying her daughter, so at least try and impress her. That's all you need to do. You need to try and impress her. And the only way you can do that is maybe by starting off on a good book. Because even Marissa said, when we met her, you gave her flowers. So now, it's important to give her something. It seems Marissa bought stuff from Mexico for his mom. And it's like, oh my God. And the other thing I didn't get was, she asked, is your Guyanese side of the family coming? And he said no, because they still are in good books with my ex-wife. And it's like, but if they're your family, why aren't they coming to your wedding? Is it because you don't want your ex-wife to find out that you're getting remarried? Why don't you want her to find out? That was a red flag for me. It was really a red flag, because it makes me question, why is it his ex-wife gets along better with his family than he does? Make it make sense? I guess when you only have 3 couples left, you have a bigger budget, because Netflix paid for Ashley and Tyler to go skydiving. Apparently, this is something that she's always wanted to do, and so he said he would do it just because it was her. And it's like, I don't think it's just her. I think he knows if he doesn't do it, she's leaving the show. I think it's him compromising because he knows she's not on board with whatever lies he told her. It was cute. It was lovely. The sad bit about the Ashley A and Tyler scenario is the fact that they have these cutesy moments. They have these very endearing moments, but they're all sort of overshadowed by the rumors that have come out and all the gossip about him. And it makes you, someone like myself, feel very sorry, because I always root for love, but I am heartbroken or devastated for Ashley, because this is something that she hadn't signed up for, and sadly she is now having to sort of put a candle on this turd and call it a birthday cake. And I don't think she's on board with it, because even he tried to kiss her once they landed, because they didn't even kiss before they took off. I noticed that. And when they came down, they didn't. And then when they were sitting down having a conversation, he had to lean in and sort of look at her. And I think as in an attempt to sort of beg her to kiss him. He did this twice, and every time she just gave him a quick peck and moved away. And it's like, there's trouble in paradise. I feel like Netflix has begged them, because otherwise they would only have two couples left, which is Marissa and Ramses, and Gareth and Taylor. So I think they've begged them to stay on the show, and I think they're just going along just for the sake of getting along. I don't think there's anything there. I don't see them saying yes. They're still talking about children and stuff, but their level of intimacy has completely changed, and I feel sorry for them, and especially for Ashley, because I think she was abstaining from sex for a while, and sadly she's got herself in this situation. Hopefully she's not pregnant, because it would be a nightmare. And then for him to say, when they were talking about pregnancy and delivery, for him to say, I will donate, and she had to say wrong choice of words for you to say to donate. And it's like, what's his understanding of the word donation? As a husband, you don't donate your sperm to your wife. So what's his understanding of the word donation? Makes me question him a lot. Because, that ain't it. It's interesting how every season there's that couple that really are perfectly matched, that are just aligned on everything. And I think for me this season is Gareth and Taylor. Gareth and Taylor, they've been easygoing. There's been no conflict. The only issue they had was about the text message. And once that was resolved, that's it. Yes, their parents are struggling with the process, but them as a unit, they've been amazing. Gareth and Taylor have been amazing. They've been drama free. I haven't heard anything online as well, which just shows you that they are two people that are very solid. They were given this date in this place that looked like an aquarium, it had some sort of artsy feel, and then they had the world sort of on the wall rotating. And because these are two geeks, it was interesting to see them. And I love the fact that at one point you had Taylor laughing because Gareth was commenting on the earth and sort of pointing out places. And this is who they are. This is what they are aligned on, their values, their beliefs. They haven't really done anything that would make you question them to say, I think if they were to say no on wedding day, they would be the biggest shocker in the history of Love is Blind. In my opinion, I haven't watched other countries outside of the UK, but I think they would be the biggest shocker because of how they are so aligned on a lot of things that it just makes sense that they would say yes on wedding day. Gareth himself is already speaking it into existence. In his mind, he's already married to Taylor. They're living somewhere with their white, with a white picket fence in San Diego and doing whatever they're doing. But he is in a happy space with his wife, and he's already settled in. So Taylor is sort of having to reassure him and sort of remind him that, we have to be careful that we don't give each other hope just in case. I think the producers keep nodding to them that don't make it so obvious that you're going to say yes. I love that they keep checking in with one another. Where are you? Do you have any doubts? Do you have any questions? That I really love. So I'm so happy for them. And then you switch over to Marissa and Ramses, and something has happened. We don't know what's happened. This is my issue this season, that there are so many things that have happened, but we've barely got to see them. And it's like, why is Netflix trying to sort of not make it so bad that, these people face a lot of backlash or what? There seems to have been a conversation between Ramses and whoever he spoke to, and whether they are questioning his marriage and whether they're questioning whether, Marissa is the right person for him. I don't get it. They're sort of now sitting there, and that you can tell both were crying. What they were crying about, we don't know. What caused this conversation to take place, we don't know. It seems everything we do not know. We just know what we hear them saying, and it doesn't make sense because there's no backstory to it. I have a feeling that because of the prenup stuff and some of the conversation about the army and stuff, whoever he's spoken to has said, maybe this is not a good idea for you. The fact that Marissa still sees herself saying yes to this man doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me because from what we've seen, he's not it for her. She needs to go back to the dating pool and see if she can find her person, because this is not her person. I know she says she's happy to stay in a marriage for 5 years, even if it's not working, just because she doesn't want to give up at first go. It's like, 5 years is a long time to be in an unhappy relationship, let alone to be in an unhappy marriage. And so for her to want to do that to herself, I don't get it. He is saying this is his last chance. He doesn't want to get another divorce. If this fails, then that's it. And it's like, well, then don't get married. Stay single for a couple of months or years and see how the two of you are aligned. And if you're aligned at all, if you are amazing. If you're not, then keep it moving and you'll find your person. But don't force something just because you feel like you need to do it. You don't need to. You don't need to. But anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 10. Bye guys.